Here's the deal, team. On the normal day that I put videos out for Still It this week, put a video out talking about testing 5 different woods with a control as well. The episode got a little out of hand and I did not have time in a reasonable length episode to do the testing. That's what this video is all about. So I'm testing 5 different woods and using US white oak as a control. Now this is a lengthy episode, guys. If you're not into the channel or you're not very interested in seeing what those woods are like, this is probably not the video for you. Anyway guys, let's get stuck in. Welcome back, guys. A fortnight has passed and these guys have had 5 hot cold cycles in the fridge over there, guided with the STC 1000. Now I did those 5 cycles in 5 days, and the reason I did that is I wanted to just let them chill and mellow for a decent amount of time. So they've been sitting there for the rest of the fortnight, pretty much as is now at room temperature. And last night I put them back into the fridge and just turned it down to cellar temperature. It's about 18 degrees Celsius. So what I have lined up in front of me now is a drink of each jar, obviously, and I have 45 mils in each glass. And they are at 45% ABV. Now the idea, guys, is that I'm going to start down this end, and this is essentially the control for this experiment. That is the American white oak. Now remember, team, that all of these I tried to treat the wood the same, have the same amount of wood, char them the same way, and obviously they've all been through the same hot-cold cycles. So let's have a taste of this bad boy, see how the American oak did, and also kind of get a baseline of just what the spirit's doing with a little bit of wood in it. So there's definitely a little vanilla going on there. Vanilla, a touch of cherry, to be honest, not a whole lot else. There's a little bit of graininess going on. No peat, unfortunately, but as we said earlier, that did disappear quite quickly. Still a little bit fiery, but it is, 45%, not 40%. It's not, it's still a little thin. I'd like a little bit more body to it from the wood sugars, I guess. Definitely has some cherry going on there, and a hint of the barrel char as well. No real spice, a little bit of spice so far, I guess. And unfortunately, none of that peat, which is, I gotta say, a little disappointing. But anyway, guys, the idea is that what I would like to do from here on in is not have to describe the spirit itself and only talk about the differences between each wood. That's the plan. There is a nice lingering woody flavour actually sitting around after tasting that. So with each of these, actually what I might try and do is have a good sip, talk to you and tell you what I think, and allow a little time to see if there's flavors coming back to me. But anyway, cleanse between each drink and let's see how we get on. Next up is the Cherrywood, and right away I notice the difference in color. The US oak is more of a sort of golden dark brown, I guess, and the cherry is more of a straw color. This is richer, darker, and actually leaning more towards the spice side of things on the nose. And the cherry almost reminds me of white wine, actually. Fresher, more light, vibrant sort of flavors, or aromas, I should say. And doesn't have any of that deep, dark sugar flavors. And when I say that, I mean, like the caramel, the burnt sugar, toffee. This doesn't have that. Yeah, it's much brighter. It's brighter and lighter, and it's almost got a the corn comes out a lot more in it, which is interesting, but not in a buttercorn or popcorn way. It's the smell of fresh corn, the corn on the cob, the scent of it. That's more what it tastes like. Whoa! And there's actually a bit of peat coming through on that, which is really interesting. Just on the after note. It almost tastes like a sherry finished Scotch in some ways. Interesting. All right. Next up is the pear. Now, I do feel a little inadequate with only 2 of these nice glasses, but these ones are going to have to do a stand-in. And unfortunately, when I get down here, we're really slumming it, guys. You know what? You know what? Screw it. I'm going to pause the camera and I'm going to order some more Glencans right now. Oh, time for a couple of housekeeping issues. Number 1, Still It Now has merch up on Teespring, and for those of you in America, you're going to start seeing, hopefully, images pop up down below these videos. So if you'd like one of those shirts, hoodies, stickers, or whatever else, by all means go and grab one. I do apologize, guys, for those of you in other parts of the world. You can, of course, buy them, but you will pay a very pretty penny in exchange and postage. So I am working on some other solutions for Australia, New Zealand, and Europe. And speaking of people all over the world, I would like to thank the Patreons as well, guys. These over here are the people that make this channel 100% possible. Those are the people directly contributing and keeping these videos running, and also the Inner Circle, Team Awesome, that help me out with decisions and deciding exactly what I should do when. So thank you so much to those people. Oh, and Patreons, just in case you did miss the lens that I put out last week or early this week, don't buy any of those merch things yet if you're inclined to do so. I will be getting you guys a discount somehow. Alright, anyway, enough of that. Back to the pear. Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, what is that flavor? It's like a certain type of candy, I think? Oh, I can't place it. Oh, that's so frustrating. I guess I just had a look at a flavor wheel because it's really pissing me off. And I can't quite place it. But it's almost like, you know what? It's kind of like those fake, really crappy glazed cherries. It's a little like that, and a little waxy, which doesn't do it a whole lot of service. That makes it sound horrible. But it almost has a, it's almost fig-like at the same time. It's a really weird aroma, actually. Anyway, let's have a nudge. It seems to have very little in the way of like wood sweetness to it. I'm not getting a lot of wood sugars out of it. It's quite thin still. It's actually a little astringent, this one as well. But I wouldn't blame that necessarily on the wood. It might just be that I've put too much wood in there for too long under these circumstances. Yeah, this one just in some ways tastes like the raw wood smells. Actually, hold on, let me have a sniff of the pear. Yeah, it's got that almost paspalin sort of smell to it, which is kind of what I'm getting in here as well. Paspalin, I don't know if you guys call that in other parts of the world, but the long grass, you know, that farmers put and chew on. I don't think anyone actually does that, but you know, they do in the cartoons. So that one is definitely not high up on my list of these 3 so far. Alright, maple. Now this one I've been looking forward to. A lot of people have been saying that they try it. Thanks to Hayden again for sending that in, dude, you totally hooked me up. Let's have a sniff. Oh yeah, okay, so that's like sweet. It kind of reminds me of maple, I guess, but not really. It's like less syrupy and more... You know what? Actually, we almost never get real maple syrup down here in New Zealand. We get the flavoured horrible crap because I don't have $40 for a bottle of syrup. It's probably not that bad, I don't know, but we buy the maple flavoured syrup more often than not. And the couple times that I've actually had maple syrup, it almost tastes nothing like that. This doesn't smell like that either. But it's more like that. It's not. For some reason I had it pegged that this was going to be kind of syrupy, like simple sugar syrup, and it's not like that at all. Which makes sense because it's not a simple syrup. I am getting some sort of barrely charriness to it, which is cool. I dig that, actually. It just tastes, it smells much more refined, definitely than this, and probably more so than that, although this has got that interesting sort of sherry thing going on there. Oh wow, okay. So heaps more body, definitely than these two. I'll compare it to that later. Whoa, and peat, interesting. I'll compare it to this one again later on as well, the US oak, but a lot more body and sweetness. It's super, super smooth actually. Almost to the point of being, it's viscous and oily, but not in a nasty way. On the entry, it does have a syrupy-like quality to it, but with an awesome, I guess it's a cherry, almost sort of like a cherry sort of flavor. I guess cherry plum, something like that. But it is leaving a little of the peat in there as well, which is really interesting. So I'm going to look forward to going back to the US oak at the end of this and trying it again. Yeah, that's interesting to me. That's much more of a traditional whiskey wood profile, I guess, with a bit of a twist. All right, so now these two I've saved for the end because this is Manuku, which is a native wood to New Zealand. It's part of the tea tree family, I guess. And this is New Zealand oak that my old man cut down quite some time ago. So I've been really looking forward to giving these a whirl. And New Zealand distillers talk about Manuka a lot, and it seems like more often than not it's talking about it or talk about trying it. There is a couple of guys that seem to know a fair bit about it in the NZ Home Distiller Forum, but I've never tried it, so I'm really interested to give this a nudge. Let me cleanse. Okay. Anyone in New Zealand will understand exactly what I say when I say Manuka smoke. It's kind of like it's New Zealand's main wood to smoke things with, and the main thing that New Zealanders smoke is fish. And normally that would be kawai or trout, I guess, is the most common thing that you'd run into with Manuka smoke. And I think because of that, it seems like Manuka smoke gets associated with fish a lot in New Zealand, which is a bit of a shame to me. Because it is kind of it is an interesting smoke. And honestly, I do not know how to describe it. I really don't. I guess it's a little on the sweeter side, but not like a full-on sweet smoke. It's almost got a little bit of a herbal quality to it, I guess, to me. I don't know about barbecue a whole lot or how those guys would describe it. But it is an interesting wood, and what I am trying to get to and taking some time to get there is that there is a touch of that in here, which is kind of cool for me. But even my mind is associating that with a little with fish. And yeah, New Zealand smoked fish has scarred me a little bit. I don't really like it. So that's a bit of a problem for me. But I'm thinking tasting this is going to get me past it. Here we go. Interesting. Okay. So it's given it the sweet flavour. So it's given it a little sweetness in the flavour, but what it hasn't done is rounded the jaggy back end of this out. It still feels quite thin and quite just new, I guess. It doesn't have that sort of silky polish that this and this have to them more. It's interesting because it goes into your mouth and it feels like it's going to be really silky and smooth. And then as you swallow, it's got a fair bit of bite to it. Let me go back to the American oak just to test that that's not just me having a few drinks and tasting things differently. It's definitely rounder, more approachable. This goes into the mouth and makes you think that it's going to be like that, and then right as you're swallowing, it comes to get you. On the other hand, it does have a wonderfully familiar flavour to it, I would imagine for most New Zealanders, and it's the flavour of the smell of Manuka smoke. Probably because there's been very few times that I've had that Manuka smoke by itself without, brown sugar on fish or something like that. I do get the feeling that this could be viable with some more time. I do get the feeling that it could make something uniquely New Zealand. And I do wonder if long slow toasting of the wood plus charring might do a treat for this one. Maybe something that I'll have to try again in the future. Alright guys, so last up, let's do the New Zealand oak. Now, before I go any further, I have to say, look at the freaking colour on that. It's crazy. Now, I know that that's somewhat irrelevant in terms of time or the amount of wood in there, because you can throw a buttload of wood into something and get it really dark super quick. But same amount of wood, same volume liquid, same treatment, American oak, New Zealand oak. Very obvious difference, and this is much, much darker. Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. Okay, so it's cigar smoke. No, not even cigar smoke. It's like cigar tobacco, cedar sort of thing, like a humidor. It smells like a humidor, but it does have a little smokiness as well. Not peatiness, but wood smoke, which is cool. I do need to try this in another glass too, guys, because this thing's horrible, but that's interesting. I dig that, actually. Mmm. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, it has the more traditional, it's got that more round, it's definitely got a more rounded sort of finessed finish to it, like the maple and the US oak, but it has more of a ashy, charry finish from the barrel. Barrel, you know what I mean. Sweet burnt sugar straight up, and then it melts away into kind of cherry and vanilla on the way out. That's unique. That's different. It's definitely got some pepper and spice to it as well. So that does make me wonder if somehow this is just aged more than the others. Maybe the extra headspace has something to do with that. Obviously that's a little bit of a fault of this little experiment that I don't have the same jars. Pepper, fig? No, not quite fig. Definitely cherry, plum, and vanilla though. Interesting. Okay, alright, let's have a little talk about all of these things next to each other and how they compare to each other. And I guess there is two ways that you can talk about this. One is kind of in the more traditional vein of things, I guess, and what you would expect to taste in a whiskey. And I have to say, without a shadow of the doubt, then this becomes the hero of that. It just tastes much more like what I would expect, and it just is so much more similar to the commercial whiskies that I've had, both bourbon and Scotch. Now that is well and good, but just because something is the norm or the tradition doesn't necessarily make it right. And I recently put a post up on the community tab in YouTube asking why you guys drink. Why you drink Scotch whiskey. And of course we all do drink just for the enjoyment of it and to taste something delicious that we know is delicious. But we have a little bit of a unique community here, I think, guys, in that we drink to try something different, to see what other flavors might be out there. Maybe learn a little bit more about yourself, about the craft, about how things are made or how things could be made, even if it is not necessarily the most delicious thing compared to one of the other whiskies on the shelf. And of course, guys, there is absolutely nothing wrong with either way of going about it. It is whatever you get the most enjoyment out of yourself. So like the Whiskey Vault guys say, drink your whiskey your way. And I've got no problems with that whatsoever. But me, personally, I do like trying new things and trying things that are a little bit different. On that note, I would have to say that the pear is the most different out of everything. But I'm not entirely sure if I like it. Maybe I would blend it into something else a little. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not really, yeah. There's something a little strange about that. That waxiness is a bit odd to me. The Manuku is also super, super different and really approachable and familiar for me coming from New Zealand. And I'm sure the other New Zealanders out there will know what I mean by Manuku being sort of approachable and a familiar flavour for us Kiwis. I do definitely think there is potential with this. This is something that I'm going to chase up. And once again, it might be that I blend it, or actually what it could be is kind of like a finishing barrel. So you get the smoothness and the sweetness and the roundness and the approachability from the US oak or the maple or something like that, or even the New Zealand oak, and then you go and bang it into the Manuku barrel to finish it and get some different flavors coming off it. The maple to me is pretty close to traditional, but it does have an extra sweetness and a kind of different wood profile to it as well. And perhaps a little more of the burnt sugar sort of flavors rather than the sweet vanilla cherry sort of things going on too. The cherry is interesting to me because of the almost wine-like sort of flavor to it. It's a little like a fortified wine or a wine-finished Scotch to me. And that is really interesting because I do really like those Scotches. Yeah, white wine. It's crazy. It's really, really interesting to me. I was really hoping to be able to tell you that tasted like cherry. It doesn't. That I could totally see making something like a pretty whiskey, something more like a Speyside type thing, and doing just the cherry with it. So that might be something that I would like to try at some point in the future as well. Now, the New Zealand oak. This is the one that really stands out to me as really freaking different. Totally not what I expected. And once again, I will hedge my bets and say that it might be that for whatever reason there's more wood in there that, I don't know. But it could just be further along in the aging process. It's crazy, yeah, it really is like a cigar box with heaps, yeah, like a lot of pepper. Whoa! After tasting it next to that, crazy. Anyway, team, I guess in summary, it is safe to say that this was a whole lot of fun, that I've absolutely loved doing it, and I'm really glad that you guys came along for the trip. I will not say the J word. And after tasting this, guys, after getting these flavors off these different woods, I really would like to explore this some more. So if there's a specific wood that you'd like to try floating around out there that you'd like to give a go, let me know, and I would love to give it a whirl at some point in the future. I think maybe I'll do the same thing. I'll save up a few ideas and test them all in one go. So as always, guys, I really hoped you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you really like it and you're not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe down below. Like always, guys, I would really, really love to hear your opinion on all of these things, and let me know if you've tried something similar as well. Drop some comments down below. Until next time, guys, keep on chasing the craft. See ya.